I so badly wanted this video to be titled Day 1 of Consistency. Instead, the same mistakes as yesterday were made, but this time worse. It's now been a full year since I left the comforts of a stable career to pursue full-time trading. I expected the transition to be difficult, and I expected there to be losing trades and moments of confusion along the way. But what I did not expect was how mentally challenging, lonely, and emotionally exhausting the journey would be. The good news is those emotions are nowhere near as extreme as they were a year ago. The bad news is they are still there. This morning started well. I was able to wait 17 minutes after the open before entering my first trade, and from there spent the next several minutes slowly working through the Mag 7 names looking for the right setups. I was patient, calm, and at one point was up about $25. Not a large sum of money by any means, but it still gave me a smile because I was approaching the day the way most professionals do. Then Google happened. Just as Apple trapped me yesterday, Google did the same around 9:15 a.m. Before I knew it, I was $330 in the hole and itching to double down on shares and options. By 10 a.m., I was down roughly $400, and the trader I so desperately want to become was being taken over by the prior me. I started revenge trading. I opened put options against several positions that were slightly in the red, as well as Google, which had already created a much larger hole. I just wanted my money back before we left for the day and could already feel myself abandoning the process I knew was in place to keep me safe. Around 10:30 this morning, approximately 45 minutes before we were scheduled to leave, Google finally reversed and my $400 hole recovered. I closed the position for a roughly $20 gain. However, while Amazon, Google, Meta, and Tesla had all moved the way I expected and generated roughly $200 in realized gains, Apple was once again moving in the opposite direction and time was running out. My family and I were planning on leaving the house soon. That's when I made the decision that would define the entire day. I removed my stops. I increased my put position to 7 contracts, and I increased my Apple short position to 175 shares. The worst part is I knew every one of these moves was wrong and likely to end badly, but I still proceeded like a gambler. For a day I wanted to title Proud of Myself, I could already feel it turning into another major disappointment. To make it worse, I realized that even if Apple reversed and I somehow finished the day in the green, I'd still be ashamed of the way I got there. I almost wanted to lose money on the day so I wouldn't have another, quote, green day, bad trading, end quote, story to tell. But all of this was ignored once again. We left the house around 11:15 this morning with a massive short position in Apple, no stops, and nothing but a small phone to monitor the situation when I really just wanted to be with my family. When we left the house, Apple was roughly $260 in the red, meaning I could have simply accepted the loss and finished the day down around $60. Instead, I held. After leaving the house and checking my phone for the first time, my unrealized losses on Apple were now approaching $700. Later in the afternoon, at one point, the unrealized losses were exceeding $1,200, which would have put me roughly $1,000 in the red for the day. And the crazy part is I wasn't even surprised. As I was removing those stops and buying those additional puts, I could already see this exact scenario playing out in my head. I just remember hoping that it wouldn't. I knew exactly how I got myself there. Not only was I thinking about what I would say in this channel, which one of my kids is now fascinated with and will be watching, but I was also thinking about how I would explain it to my wife, who's been so proud of me lately for sticking to my rules. I was getting nervous about how I would explain this one when she asked me later this evening. Fortunately, Apple later in the day did reverse, and within 10 minutes before the close, I was able to exit for a $400 loss. That left me down $200 overall on the day. Again, the money isn't the story. The story is that I broke my most important rules again. I removed my stops. I oversized a position. I concentrated risk into a single stock. I carried that risk away from my desk where I could not properly manage it. And I did it all after promising myself I wouldn't do that to my family a second day in a row. That is not disciplined trading. But there's one more thing I'm noticing. A year ago, a day like this would have consumed me. I would have spent the evening angry, frustrated, and focused entirely on the money. Today, that's not what's bothering me. What's bothering me is the process. The fact that I removed my stops, the fact that I oversized the position, The fact that I carried a trade I couldn't properly manage while trying to spend time with my family. That's progress, even if it doesn't feel like it. The emotional swings are smaller and recovery is faster. And while today's results is not what I had wanted, I'm at least becoming more aware of my mistakes before I make them instead of after. Today was not day one of consistency, but tomorrow might be. And I'm going to keep working on it until it happens.